welcome to the program. I am your host, Phatman.
And I'm Littleboy.
And this is our weekly Netcast podcast for
September 25th, 2012.
And you know what's really funny about that? You wrote it down just a couple of minutes ago.
Do you know why I did?
Because you mess up every week.
No, I messed up once, and that was last month. I was a whole month off.
And you messed up the week before that. You said, it's my only job.
Yeah.
If you're watching us on a live stream right now from Ustream, you'll notice on our website, the website's having some issues, and we don't know why. But it looks like some of the articles got messed up, and it's in an update fashion right now. If the website goes down, we'll build a new one.
We're downloading a patch right now, so hopefully it fixes it. If not, you'll have some time off because...
That's true. This is our last show for a couple of weeks. I'm having surgery this Thursday, so I'll be down for a couple of weeks.
So you'll have time to work on the website while you're down.
Yeah, and actually, I think our website's ready for an update. You know, it's really funny. The Phatman and Littleboy show is the first website.
And it always goes on the back burner.
Yeah, but it actually does look good, though, still.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to even really change it, but there's a few things I want to change. One thing I want to pull that we have on there now is where it has all the articles from all over the place. And to be honest with you, I just want to put our stuff up there.
Yeah.
And if it's not something that we want up there, then just have the show once a week. That's all good enough.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then I think maybe we'll throw a couple of the other shows in there just so people can see the other projects. But,
right.
Phatman and Littleboy show should just be the Phatman and Littleboy show.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Littleboy, we have a very busy show, and I know we don't have that long to do.
Right.
But how was your week?
Week's been good. I got to do the ESPN show last weekend.
Oh, that's right.
Darren was training killer whales, so he couldn't do it. So I got to do the PFP show, which is always fun. It's always neat because it's live on ESPN Radio in San Diego here.
Yeah,
1700, and it's a lot of fun to do. So I had a good time doing that.
Matter of fact, you were sitting where I'm sitting.
Yes, because we actually did the show instead of from the ESPN studio. We did it from our PMLB studios for the first time, and we live streamed it video, and it was great.
Yeah.
It went off without a hitch.
Yep.
Very exciting stuff, and we're gonna keep doing that, and hopefully we can get all the shows doing that eventually.
I get to do something fun today too.
What's that?
I get to be on the Sports Junkie show.
That's right.
And that never happens. The only show that I'm on is this show.
Yeah.
I'm behind the camera on every other show, which I love doing the production. I love that part of it, but it's kind of fun being up here. And,
yeah, I'm excited to watch you doing something different. It's a little bit of a different ballgame. I've sat in with the Sport Junkies before. I'll be doing that in the future, of course. And I've done the PFP show, and I chime in on the Junkie show from the producer desk, and it's a much different animal, a lot of fun.
Are you going to be at the producer's desk tonight?
I will, and I'll be chiming in.
All right. So for those of you watching, I know this is a political show, but our San Diego Sports Junkies, both of them are out tonight. One of them is ill, and one of them has a issue in a family.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
Which is why we didn't have the show last week, because I had an issue.
Right. Same thing. Yeah. So it should be fun. I'm excited, and I can't wait to do it. But let's get into our show.
Okay.
I know you have this on the morning after pill.
Yeah.
Go ahead and explain to the folks.
Well, New York City high school students are being offered the morning after pill by 13 different public high schools. And
it's a test right now, a trial.
Right, but I mean, it's a trial, but they're taking the pill. It's
yeah,
not like
I mean,
they're taking a
I
placebo
know
or
that.
Not. It's not all throughout New York. It's just in 13 high schools, and they're making it seeing if it's a good idea to make that available for high school students. And I like with all of these subjects, we don't pre-discuss these because we want to see how hopefully we come down on different sides of this. I was wondering what you thought about that.
I think it's terrible. I think it's disgusting and deplorable, as they say.
I understand that because you're against the morning after pill anyways. So you're just projecting that onto this. You're going to be against it no matter what because you don't like the morning after pill. I'm not really a big fan of this either. Now, I don't have a problem with high schools making like condoms available for students. I'm not saying give one out at recess to every kid or have them, when they buy their lunch, have it on their lunch tray. But I think if a student goes to the nurse or the health department or whatever it's called and requests a condom, they should be able to have them. I think they should be made available because, we want our kids practicing safe sex if they're going to have safe sex. I have a teenager and I have a preteen, and I would hope that they would wait. And I've spoke to both of them about this. But the bottom line, if they're not going to wait, I want them to be safe. Now, I'm not a big fan of, they are giving these pills to these students without their parents' knowledge.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of being able to give, we're going to call it, it's medicine.
It is medication.
To your child without your knowledge.
Right.
That's where my issue is, and it would be the same thing with birth control pills. I wouldn't have a problem. I don't have a problem if condoms are made available to the students. I get the fact that some of them, don't have an open relationship with their parents, can't talk about it. I am not a fan of them giving birth control pills to students without parents' knowledge, because that is medication. That's a drug being introduced to the system, and I think the parents should have consent. Should be able to have consent on that. I don't like that at all.
This particular drug, the morning after pill, is designed, and it can be used, and with really devastating effects, on someone who is pregnant. I mean, like months along.
Oh yeah, it's basically gonna abort.
Right. So these are 13-year-olds. That is the lowest number that they'll give to, right?
Right.
Do you think a 13-year-old has the mental capacity to handle something like this? Do you think a 13-year-old? Because I've had 13-year-olds,
right.
Because they're older than that now.
Older than that.
But they lie. So they could tell the nurse, hey, last night we didn't have, but it could be a month later.
Sure.
6 weeks later.
Right.
It doesn't say on here how they're, and this is a nurse. This isn't a doctor who would be giving this to them. And so they're not saying on here, hey, we're gonna do a physical before.
Well, it does need to have a doctor. It needs to have a doctor. They just see the nurse, and the nurse doesn't give it to it. They still have to get a prescription from a doctor. The nurse can't write the prescription. They refer it to a doctor.
They refer it to a doctor that day because it's a morning after pill.
So my guess is you're not going to see a whole lot of the doctors aren't going to be.
You're not going to get in there and have the doctor do a total exam to see how far along you really are.
Now,
because he's going to just take off of what the kid says, and a 13-year-old, even a 16-year-old, isn't going to say, "Well, I was knocked up a month ago. I just want this pill for an abortion," because that's basically what it is.
Well, what it's doing is it's having a miscarriage. It's making you miscarry the baby.
But it's an abortion. If it's that's what it is.
In 2011-2012 school year, 567 students received the Plan B pill, and 580 students received birth control pills. Now, it doesn't say here how many of those students the parents actually knew about it or not, but the point is the parents don't have to know about it. Now, some of them might have known about it. Maybe the kids talked about it and the parents said, yeah, let's do this. But the bottom line is that it's not a requirement, and that's where my issue is. That's what my issue is.
That's not just my issue. My issue, well, one, the parents should know, but the second one is you cannot trust a teenager to tell you the truth.
Right.
And you just can't. Yes, go ahead there, producer Jen.
There is some protocol before a doctor can write a prescription, even for something like this.
Are you on live?
Yes, I am.
I hear a phone ringing in the background.
I hear your music in the background.
Nope.
So, anyway, well.
So yeah, there is some protocol the doctor has to follow before he could do that, and I'm not sure if it's a pregnancy test or what, but they do have some things they have to do before they can give any kind of prescription out.
Sure. So
bottom line is it's the problem I have is with the parents not being notified, and I do understand you do have those cases where notifying the parents is going to cause some serious trouble with the kids and maybe even danger. You have not everybody has the relationship that they would wish that they had with their child or with their parent. But I'm just not a big fan of being able to give drugs to children without parent consent. I'm just not a big fan of that.
That's not just my problem, but that is definitely
that's
a problem.
my biggest problem.
All right, well, let's go on to our next story. And I know you want to put this in here, that the pastors prepared to taunt IRS by endorsing a candidate despite the tax-exempt status. Now, you have always had opposition to the fact that there's a separation of church and state for the tax purposes. You've always had an issue with that.
I have had an issue with that. I still do.
But there's also, before we really get into this, you have to understand this argument that you're bringing up was brought up a long time ago, and that's how nonprofits and charities got the same exemption that churches.
I have no problem with that, and I wouldn't have a problem with.
But a nonprofit and a charity can also endorse a candidate.
I wouldn't have but they have different rules. Nonprofits have to report their income and their financial structure via Form 990 to the IRS.
But that's
churches
just to make
get a complete exemption from that. Churches do not have to do that.
That's because a church as a whole is supposed to take its money. It doesn't matter because the church takes its money in. To become I could say I'm a nonprofit if I didn't have to show anything.
Exactly.
I would get away with it.
But churches get tax exempt status just for being a church.
Yes, you have to be a licensed church. You're right.
And And that I have a problem with that. I wouldn't have a problem if the churches went through the same processes as the nonprofits do. I wouldn't have an issue with that. Because why should you get special consideration?
You're not getting
you believe
special
in something?
consideration.
They absolutely are.
What it is the nonprofits at the beginning didn't have to do that.
But they do now.
Because they were frauds.
Okay. You don't think there's fraudulent churches out there?
Oh, I'm sure there is, but that's the difference. If you said any nonprofit, you just say you're a nonprofit and you get the same status as a church. I know, but that's why they don't do that. This has nothing to do with unfairness.
I'm asking for the church to have to follow the same standards as the nonprofits.
And they do.
They don't.
I don't understand what you mean by that.
They don't. They do not have to report their income or their financial structure.
Good for them.
Nonprofits do.
Good for them. They're registered as a church.
But I just said I want them to have to follow the same rules as a nonprofit. You said they do, but they don't.
Nonprofits at the beginning didn't have to.
But they do now.
But do you know why they do?
Because of fraud. But
yes, because I would be a nonprofit tomorrow if I didn't have to say it.
There's fraud in churches too. Why don't we use that?
Your biggest issue is...
Why don't we use that?
Okay, so you're saying if they had to disclose all that, then you'd have no problem if they go back a candidate.
I would.
Because really, where is your issue here?
Which nonprofits are backing candidates?
Oh my gosh. AFL-CIO is a nonprofit.
First of all, churches... All these nonprofits and churches do not come out and they just say, we're back in this candidate, where they walk that line.
That is not true.
Churches...
The AFL-CIO itself absolutely endorses President Obama, and they make commercials for President Obama and says,
then how are they a nonprofit then?
That has nothing to do with it. You could be a nonprofit and still endorse somebody.
Okay. So then make the churches, if that's the case, then make the churches follow the same rules.
Have you never seen some of these, do you know that teacher unions and stuff are under the nonprofit? They don't pay taxes because they're under a nonprofit umbrella? Have you ever heard of a union at all endorsing a candidate?
I don't know.
Of course they do.
Of course they do. I'm not saying they don't. What I'm saying is I don't know if unions are nonprofit or not because I don't really pay much attention to that.
Some unions go under nonprofit status.
What I'm saying then is if these churches...
UNICEF goes under nonprofit.
If the churches want the same... If they want to be able to endorse a candidate, why can't they follow the same rules as the other nonprofits?
At the beginning.
I don't care about the beginning.
I'm telling you why.
Now.
If I would have no problem if all the nonprofits didn't have to put in their paperwork if they were all on the up and up. But you can't just say you're a church. You realize that, right? You actually have to go through documentation.
Sure you do. You have to be...
to get your tax-exempt status.
Right.
They do the vetting there. The problem is with nonprofits is they can't do the vetting once and just let it at that because nonprofits bring in a lot of money that
churches.
No, but that other company or that people can do as a write-off and that as companies can do as write-off.
There's so much fraudulent activity in
all
of that crap.
I'm sure there is, but your problem was nothing to do with this. You don't care if they did all the paperwork. You still would have a problem with them endorsing a candidate. And that is what this argument really is about. You're trying to make a change.
Wait. You said something that's not true. My problem is not that they're endorsing a candidate. My problem is the churches are tax exempt for being a church.
Why?
I have an issue with that because I don't think they should
Then nothing should be tax exempt. Nothing.
That's fine. Hey, that's fine with me.
Then you did nonprofits, things that help people should not be.
Well, if you're going to make that argument, then...
That is the argument.
That's not my argument.
You take it from churches. Churches do a heck of a lot for charity.
Not all of them do.
But a lot do.
Sure.
So are you trying to say...
Those ones that do, that follow the rules, then make all the churches go up...
You do not have to pay to go into a church.
Live up to the standards.
You do not have to pay to go into a church.
Okay.
So they're doing charity work if you walk in there. And you don't pay for anything.
It depends on your definition of charity work.
It doesn't matter. It is charity work.
It's charity work to you.
It's charity work. You do not have to pay to go there. That's how nonprofits work.
You don't have to pay to go.
That's how churches work.
You don't have to pay to go to a park either. You don't have to pay to go to a park either. So are they doing charity work?
It's us doing charity work. Who do you think pays for a park?
I'm just saying you don't have to pay to go to a park.
Of course you don't. You pay in taxes.
I pay in taxes too for the property that church is on because the church is not paying taxes.
Oh, that is absolutely incorrect.
Well,
they pay rent and they pay property taxes.
They do not pay property taxes.
If they rent a piece of property, the guy who owns the property does not get an exemption. Hello.
If the church owns a piece of property,
then they
do not
purchased
pay
it
taxes.
and they paid their taxes.
They do not
They
pay
do
taxes.
not get it for free.
They do
The
not
only
pay
taxes they
property
do not
taxes.
have to
They do-
pay
you are wrong.
is on
They do not
income.
pay. That is not true.
And
they
your
get the
biggest
parsonage-
problem
they
with
get
this
the
whole
parsonage
thing-
credit. They do not pay property
Your
taxes.
biggest problem with this
But
whole
wait,
thing.
let's not
Your
skip
biggest
over the
problem
fact,
in this whole
let's
thing
not
is,
skip
and
over
that's
the
why
fact
you
that you're
did
wrong.
it, is because they
No.
endorse candidates.
Let's
That
not
is what
skip-
you said.
let's
No,
not-
you're not going to get a chance to hijack
let's
and
not
change
skip
this.
over-
You did this paperwork. You
I
put
saw
this
the
in today.
article, and I
the
put it in
article
here.
says pastors prepare to taunt the IRS by endorsing
Right.
candidates.
Exactly.
That is where this goes.
Exactly.
So if you have a problem with
I
that,
have a
that is
problem-
what you talk
No.
about. You don't sit here and go
I
off
have
on a tangent on
problem
everything else.
with churches not paying taxes anyways. That's what my
Yes, you
problem
do.
is.
But you don't have a problem with nonprofits. You do not have a problem with nonprofits because nonprofits help people, and that's good enough for you. That's what you think. But churches help people, and I'm tired of you constantly giving them shit because you're the idiot.
That's 3 times that you've cussed.
This is the problem
That's 3
with
times
him.
that you've cussed.
It's only good for him.
Because I don't
and
agree with
it.
you.
No, you tried to change it. You put this out.
Can-
Pastor prepared to taunt IRS for endorsing candidates.
You can keep
That is where it ends.
You can keep screaming
Ask
over
that question and we talk
You
about
can
it, but
keep
that is not how you do it.
You can
How
keep
you do it is you decide you're going to take some crazy tangent, go off on it. Go on what the truth is.
You can keep screaming over
All
me.
right,
Do
go.
I get a chance to talk?
No. Because
Well,
unless you put
is this
down
the
on your
Phatman and
notes,
Littleboy show?
unless you put on your notes what
Is
you
this
really
the
want to talk
Phatman
about.
and Littleboy show?
All right, go ahead.
What I said was I do have a problem with churches being nonprofit or churches not paying taxes just because they're churches. Now, my problem
They're
with
a
this,
nonprofit entity.
my problem with this is the fact that churches are what they get now. They get to be nonprofit, and they're part of the deal is they cannot be behind a specific candidate, right?
No.
That is part of the deal.
No.
Churches are not allowed to endorse a candidate.
They don't endorse candidates.
They're not allowed to.
How? Show me.
Oh man, there's an actual number. I didn't write it down because there is a number in the tax code that there's tax code blah 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 that says churches cannot endorse a political party
And
or a
neither
candidate.
neither can nonprofits, but they do all the time.
If what you're saying is true, then they should lose their nonprofit. They should
But
lose
they
their
do.
tax exempt.
You can't turn around and be upset with the churches just because automatically you're just upset.
If what you're saying is true, and a nonprofit.
Have you ever heard of the AFL-CIO? Have you ever heard of it?
Listen to me. If what you're saying is true, and a nonprofit is not allowed to do that, and they are doing it, then they should absolutely lose their tax exempt status. That is my belief. Then they should. If what you're saying is true, they should lose it. I think they should lose it.
I don't. I'm going to give it to both.
Okay.
I don't care if the nonprofits keep theirs, and I don't care if the churches keep theirs. See, because that's what I'll do. I don't care on either side, but you just hate about the churches. You're hating on the churches.
I just told you.
You just changed it now.
I didn't change it.
But that wasn't what it was before, and you know it. Oh man. All right. So, as you can see, little boy again is.
He gets mad, so he yells over everybody.
Yeah, that's how you do.
Yeah,
you shouldn't do that. All right.
Nobody else gets a chance to talk because
teachers' contributions to politicians should be limited.
All right.
Now, what do you think about that?
I actually agree with him.
So do I.
But I think it's really funny just to point to the teachers because I think that there's an issue with contributions anyways, and I think money needs to be taken out of politics. And if you want to know deeper the way I feel, you can watch our last show, 3 Things That I Would Do to Change the Country. I absolutely think that this is a problem, but I just think it's funny that he is pointing at just this. And, I was going to go and I was going to show all these big, companies and stuff that contributed to the Republican Party.
Good for them.
Big deal. That's boring. Basically, what he's complaining about is not a Republican problem. It's not a Democrat problem. It's a political problem. It's a problem with all of them. So the teachers union contributes to the Democrats. The Republicans have all sorts of stuff that are contributing to them. It's a conflict of interest. It's a constant conflict of interest. It's an issue with politics. It's not a Democratic issue. It is not. I
have a question for you on that. Let's go back to the teachers' contributions a little bit because I dug into this a little deeper too. I have kids in college, a kid in college. Mm-hmm. I have nephews and nieces in college, and even the high schools to some extent. Do you believe a teacher who is there to go over a specific curriculum should put their political influence into a class?
Should they? No. Human nature says it's very difficult not to.
But should they?
No.
Yeah, absolutely not. The problem we have today is a lot, in a higher percentage. I don't know the percentage, but I guarantee you, just from what I've heard from my kids and what I remember from college myself, a lot of liberal people are teachers and professors.
That's not all. It's
mostly,
funny. It
goes to me. Well, hold on. It goes to me as, those who can't do teach kind of thing, and that's a liberal thing. They don't do anything. They just rather do something like that. But anyway, what I'm saying
crap.
is,
I can keep from cussing.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, if they're gonna get, now we'll go back to the church thing. If they're gonna get money, because they do get money.
You know what's funny is my daughter complains because she has a teacher and she says all he does is talk about how Romney needs to win and all this type of stuff. And I even tell her
he shouldn't talk either.
No, I say. She says, I get bored listening to it. I said, well, he shouldn't be telling you that, but I'll tell you what, he's the exception because most of your teachers are going to tell you the opposite. That's just the way it is.
That's a handout. School teachers are handouts.
It's the same thing, though, with, I have an issue with that. That's great, but I also have an issue with oil companies giving money to politicians who are then setting policy for them.
But now I was talking about the kids, though. I'm talking about
just specific to teachers.
Yeah, but I'm talking about children. I mean, you got a kid. Who do you trust to teach your child?
Right.
What's going on.
I believe that teachers believe that Democrats in office are going to do more for the kids in school.
Yeah, they believe that.
Well, that's all we go by.
Yeah.
That's all we can go by. So they
I have a question.
Want painting them with a broad brush, want Democrats in office because they feel that is going to help the school system better. I don't think it's about teachers. I think
Actually,
it's about
it can't be because
teachers don't teach to make money. Okay?
They do good though. They don't do that bad, especially in California. They do better than the average person.
It depends on who you're comparing them to. They certainly are not rolling in the dough.
No, but I don't think they could.
And no, that's not the way it's set up.
They couldn't. Not just being a teacher. I mean, in real life, they probably couldn't.
Couldn't what?
Make a lot of money. There's
just
because they're educated doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, but that's not a fair statement to make.
I don't think they could.
Well, I completely disagree with you. I just think that for some reason,
there has to be a reason why
they went into teaching because maybe they're interested in teaching. Maybe that fulfills them.
Yeah, maybe.
Most of them don't. Just like most firefighters do not go into firefighting to become rich.
Exact opposite. Though.
They go to fire because
let's take police officers and firemen.
They're serving their community.
But I would love to see. I would love to see.
Too.
I would love to see police officers and firemen. What their political views would be, and have them teach the kids.
I'll tell you, they have unions too.
Yeah.
And they contribute too politically.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I'd love to have, and most Republicans love to have PAL unions behind them, which is Police Officer Association unions, and because they're very conservative.
Well, I don't know.
And that's it. But I don't like. You're right.
The bottom line
teachers
aren't not becoming teachers to become rich.
No.
Most of them.
I don't think they could. I don't think I could. It's not that I don't have respect for teachers. I do. I have a lot of respect for them. But what I don't have is when they decide to throw their political will in there. Because to be honest with you, they know they have an easy mind to melt, and it's a mistake. You know what I mean? It's not like they're talking to another adult because they wouldn't do it to us. I mean, I've been to some of these teacher
conferences.
And I can shut them down like that, and they do. They shut down and boop, they're done. Do you know why? Because they know that I'm not a mindable. They can't mold my head.
Everybody has their own political thoughts, and you don't just shut people down.
Oh, but they don't. They would never pull that crap.
Well, first
of
all,
in the room.
They're not teaching. They're not talking to you like you're their student because you're not. They can have a.
But why would they? Why would they do that? Political to a student. See, that's exactly what you're saying. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
I don't think that it's right either.
No,
I'm
it's
not saying
right.
It's human nature, and some of them do it. I don't think a lot of them are preaching. I'm sure that you'll get little tidbits or a little bit where stuff slips out or where they'll basically kind of let you know where they think politically. I don't think very many of them are out there just espousing their political views. I don't think that that's out there.
I think it's more than you think.
I think it's less than you think.
But speaking of teachers, let's go on to the next one real quick.
Yeah.
Because this one,
that's a hell of a segue there, fat man.
Hey, there you go.
Hell is not a curse word.
Oh, please.
You can say hell on network TV.
Anyway.
You can't say what you said on network TV, though.
After spanking of teenage girls, Texas school board gives the official okay.
Well, you know what's funny about this is there was kind of a bit of an uproar, and the reason why there was an uproar was the fact that males were spanking females. That was what the uproar was. I thought it was funny that the uproar was not the fact that the kids were getting spanked. That wasn't an issue.
Well, because apparently it's legal in 22 states.
It is legal in 18 states.
18 states.
18 other states, so that'd make it 19 states total, including Texas. And 3/4 of the schools
should be legal here.
You really agree with
Absolutely. It was when I was a kid. I got beat.
It should be legal everywhere.
You think spanking kids in school? You want somebody spanking your child?
I don't mind.
Absolutely.
I don't want them to bloody my kid or something, but you know what?
So where's your line? Where's your line then? As long as they don't draw blood, it's okay?
Marks.
As long as they don't leave marks, it's okay.
That's okay.
So what if they leave a bruise?
That's a mark.
Abuse, and that is a legal definition.
That's a mark.
You cannot
leave
a mark.
They can swat hard enough, but not leave a mark.
Let me tell you.
That's where your line is.
When I went to
my
school,
line is, I don't want anybody putting their hands on my child.
I hate when people say hands on. I hate that.
I don't want that. I don't want anybody putting their hands on my child. When I was a kid in school, I don't care what you hate.
When I was a kid in school, I got the ruler over the knuckles.
And look what happened to you. You're cursing on
what happened to
live
me?
streams.
I've never taken a drug in my life.
You think it's because you got hit?
I am extremely disciplined when I never got a speeding ticket until I was well into my adult age.
And that's because you got hit?
No, let me finish. Never stole a thing in my life except for pens and stuff like that. Everybody did that. But I mean, I don't do stuff like that.
Where's your line on stealing then? I want to know where your line is on stealing.
You know what I'm talking about.
I think it's funny when people say, I've never stolen.
Well, a pen and paper, everybody's stolen.
Sometimes you call me and you talk to me.
I'm talking about
and
actually.
You steal my time.
Well, actually, you know what's funny? The government put stealing at $16, so I'll say that.
Is that what it is?
$16
is that what
or more. All right.
Okay.
I've never done anything like that. I've led a pretty, good life as far as not doing anything against the law. I don't do anything against the law. And
it's
that's
just
all
because you took rulers across the knuckles?
I don't know.
Is that why?
But here's the difference.
I'm going to tell you, I bet you we can find just as many people who took rulers over the knuckles that are
all I can
opposite.
do is go by my life, right?
Of course, that's all you ever go by.
My mother and father believed in corporal punishment.
Times were different.
But they believed in it.
Okay.
All of their kids turned out just fine.
Okay.
All of their kids had kids because we were beat as a kid. We said we're never doing it to our kids. And all of our kids are monsters. So I don't know what to tell you, but were you smacked as a kid? If you got out of hand? Which I doubt you ever did. But if you did get out of hand.
I was swatted.
Did you even close to have a mouth like your kids have a mouth to you?
No.
Not even close, right?
No.
Because if you did, what would happen?
I don't know. I always say
did you answer the question? I don't know.
No, I did not. I always say that I would have, I don't know. I assumed that I would have probably been slapped across the face.
But you never would.
To say.
Yeah, go ahead. I hope you're on live.
I am live. I got beat as a child. I deserved it. I probably deserved more than what I got. I didn't make a team if I wasn't good enough. I didn't get a trophy for showing up.
Right. Exactly.
When we were in trouble, when we were kids, you were in trouble.
And that's it.
You were
exactly.
scared to death to lose all the fun stuff and not be able to do things and all that kind of thing that is out the window because we have to be fair and politically correct and make everyone feel a part.
I really believe what she's saying is true, more true than you think.
They need to grow up.
There is definitely, I agree, there's definitely some of the things that you say I agree with. I don't think that you need to beat a child to
no, you don't need to beat them.
Correct.
They just have the. I wouldn't talk that way to my family because I'd be afraid to get smacked in the face.
I don't think that's the only difference. I think times have just changed.
And we had respect for our parents.
Yeah, there's no respect today.
You're right.
There is
You're
none.
right. Times have changed, though. Times have changed.
But what changed? What changed?
You think you can equate it all to hitting kids?
I think I can equate it to parents, and I'm one of those who got very soft. We're just very soft on our kids. Don't do that. Don't do that. Let me tell you, if your dog pees on the rug, you don't say, "Oh, come on, don't do that again." You'll be in trouble. You know what, dog? You're going to smell that. And you rub their faces in it, and then you throw them out. The dog, they haven't changed. I had dogs when I was a kid. They act the same as they do today.
You can't compare kids to dogs,
no,
though.
But what I'm saying
when your kid peed on the floor, you rub your kid's face in it?
No.
Maybe you should have.
But what I'm saying is if other things around us stayed the same, but kids got worse, it's something adults are doing.
I agree.
And I take responsibility for that. I think that I should have beat the living tar out of my kids from day one.
Let me tell you one of the main things that I think that has changed. I think that in general, you have more households where both parents work.
That's true.
I think you have more households where you only have a single parent and that single parent works. And so I think the kids aren't getting the guidance that they need. And I don't equate it all to.
I'm gonna actually.
I don't equate it all to hitting.
I'm gonna disagree with you on one point though.
I agree with the sense that parents are getting soft, and I'll tell you why. My wife and I both work. We're both very busy. We have a lot of things that we're doing outside of work. I dedicate time to this, of course. Sometimes I'm just too damn tired to discipline my child.
What did you say?
Damn. You can say damn.
Oh, God.
I'm walking the line, baby.
You are.
You cross that line, though.
Mm-hmm.
I walk it. There's the difference. I am just too. Yeah, he did jump right over it.
Go ahead.
I'm just too damn tired sometimes because when you punish your child,
it takes a lot out of you.
You are punishing yourself.
Of course.
If you ground your child or you lay down a restriction on your child, you have then just committed to more work for yourself because you have to implement that. You have to stay on top of that. Sometimes we're just too damn tired, and I think that's I don't think that just is me. I think that's where a lot of parents are.
I'm gonna disagree on one thing.
What's that?
That there's a lot of single parent families now, and there wasn't in the past. I got to tell you something that everybody forgets about, and it's funny. I watched a real quick little segment on this. Gosh, I don't remember who it was that was talking about it. What about in the 40s? For 6 years, there was a lot of single-family homes.
Right.
A lot.
But that's only a 6-year period.
No. That's not just that. Because then I said, well, that's only 6. That's exactly what I said. Except that in 1950.
I'm very scared that I was even thinking
in 1950 it happened again. But let's go backwards. In the 30s also. So what happened was in the 20s. So there was a large generation. The greatest generation came from that time. And they did not have this same deal.
I don't think it's quite comparable because what you're doing is you're thrusting people into a
No, I'm not, but I'm just saying.
No, these people are being thrust into a situation for a specific period of time. This is something that's slowly changed, and it's just the way things are now. And when you look at things,
schools have changed.
I know that there's all sorts. I'm not putting it all on one single thing.
But I'm just saying, what if you and I didn't have time? You're right to take care to punish the kids. But if they give a teacher a bad mouth,
let me tell you something. Another thing that's changed is you got 35 to 40 kids per teacher right now.
That's true.
And back in that time, you had 15,
maybe
18.
Who knows? A lot of kids didn't go to school.
Let me tell you something. You have 30 children in one class. You have a teacher who is too dang tired and just can't keep up with all of them, and things slide. Just like when you have the single parent, just like when you have the divorced parents, just like when you have both of them working, things slide. Let me tell you, every single time your kid has ever done anything wrong, have you called them on it?
Never.
No, you just say,
That's what I'm telling you. It's adults getting lazy. I blame us.
Well,
and part of what our problem is that we are too kumbaya-ish. And you know how much that annoys me to be the kumbaya-ish.
I think we are a little bit too kumbaya-ish. I don't think that's what the total problem is. I think that is a contributing factor, just like all of those other things.
So if we go back.
But I'm going to think, if you're going to put percentages on it, I think the biggest contributor to it is the fact that we have single parents and we have two working parents and kids, and we have teachers with too many students. Basically, the kids aren't getting the guidance when they're younger that they
So let's go back to the original argument. The original question was the schools, and having the schools have the ability to lay a smack on your kid.
I disagree with it completely. I don't want anybody putting their hand on my kids.
So you don't want to do it, and you don't want them to do it.
Well, I think it's.
But yet we're raising monsters.
But I don't think that we're raising monsters because they're not being hit.
We are raising monsters. I mean, the kids.
I think there's a lot of contributing factors. I don't think
every generation gets a little different. You know what I mean? But I've seen in my own life the biggest.
And I don't want to say
change.
I've never hit my kids. I'm not that. I've smacked my kids before.
Not enough. I haven't either.
In your opinion.
Now, from our generation to our kids, from our generation to our parents' generation, I don't think we changed that much. I mean, I still wouldn't have done half the stuff I wouldn't even do anything my kids do.
I think a lot of things change. I don't think you can realize.
I don't think it's as bad.
And let me say something on that one real quick.
Go ahead.
Because I don't think it's that we changed that much. I think that there's more out in the public view of what people our parents' age did when they were kids and when they were teenagers and when they were young adults.
Yeah.
They didn't talk about it. It wasn't publicized. There wasn't the information out there. But if you talk to people that are our parents' age, they did the same things we did.
Of course.
It's not. Yeah, that's
same things we did.
Let me tell you. A good show. I'm gonna get off on a little bit of a tangent. That show. It's called Bull S, because I can't curse, by Penn and Teller.
Oh, okay.
And they did a little thing on.
Is that show still on?
I don't know if it is or not.
I don't think so. I'm very upset if it isn't.
It was a great show.
Yeah, it was good.
They did a thing basically on like child abductions and how everybody says now there's so much more of them now, and that's all you hear about is children getting abducted. And they looked at the numbers and they said that the numbers aren't any different.
They couldn't be.
Hear about them.
You hear more because there's more news.
Let me tell you, back when you're
actually thinking that one, they said the numbers are actually slightly down.
Wow.
Well,
it's
per
just
capita.
That they're publicized a lot more.
Yeah,
right. It's
people
publicized.
are
When your parents were little, how long did it take to get communication from here to France?
Very long.
Let's say it happened. They probably had the satellites, but it wasn't like it is
now. No, they
now.
didn't. When my parents were little, there was no television.
Yeah. Well, there was a way of doing it. I'm sure it was like
well,
whatever.
I don't know what was that, but okay, we're not gonna get that far.
It could be done. You could get if
right
you do
now on my computer.
Now, you can chat instantly.
We're streaming over the whole globe right now.
The whole United States. You
the
could
whole
be in
world.
Australia. You could be, and you're about 4 seconds behind what's happening right now, and that's it.
Right. But if you talk to our
changed.
parents today,
just times have changed.
I understand, but what I'm saying is what our parents did and what we did, pretty darn close. But what I did and what my kids do is not even close.
I don't think. I think that maybe in your family there's that difference.
I think you're gonna have the same problem. I just don't wish it on you.
I don't think that it's that much different.
I do. They would never have ever talked about the morning after pill at 13 in my schools.
No, but there's.
Then that's a huge difference, don't you admit?
That they talked about in your schools that your parents' schools they would have never talked about either. I don't think
they
from
wouldn't give drugs
to generation.
To children.
No, but you're not. From generation to generation, things change, and I don't think the change has been bigger. You think the change has been bigger? I think that there's change.
I think the change is larger.
Okay.
I wanted to talk about the
you.
unrest in the Middle East, but I don't think we're going to be able to do that.
We're not going to get into that.
So, that's producer Jen, if you can kick your mic off, we're getting a lot of feedback.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, I think that's it.
That's it.
I don't know what else to do.
No, we're done. I'm wondering if I'm going to be able to give my closing stuff without you screaming over me.
Well, it depends on what you say. Depends on what you say.
Okay, so now
I hear a McDonald's commercial playing in the background.
Yeah. She got it off. Too.
It's on Mac too. All right. Go ahead. Finish your closing argument.
We're finished.
That's
been
it?
a great show. Yeah. We're.
I thought we were gonna fight. You said if you can get it out without me talking over you.
I was just messing with you.
Little Boy, good show. Remember out there, we won't be back for a few weeks until I'm feeling better and able to bend. I don't know how I'm going to bend my knee to get under this thing.
Basically, we'll do the show again when you can sit here again.
They told me 6 months of rehab this time, but I won't do it. I won't do it. It'll be faster.
It'll be 6 months before you're completely to where you're going to be. You'll be sitting there in a couple weeks, I think.
You think so?
I think so.
All right. If not, I could. We'll figure something out because I don't want to be off there.
If we go that much longer, maybe I'll do a show by myself or something.
No. I'm not going to have you poison our audience completely.
You could sit from there.
There has to be somebody to make
sure
that we pull
you can lay on the studio couch with your cell phone if you want to do that, or you can Skype from your bed. There's all sorts of different things you can do.
That's true. I can always Skype in.
The great thing is if you're screaming over me, it'll be a little harder to do that from Skyping.
Yeah. You can always reach me at Phatman@phatmanandlittleboy.com or producer Phatman on Twitter.
And you can email me at littleboy@phatmanandlittleboy.com. Email me and tell me how ridiculous you think what the Fat Man said was.
Please.
You can tweet me direct at LBHost, and if you tweet me during the show, I got a couple, but no real questions. If you tweet me during the show, I'll respond and answer questions and all that good stuff.
And I'm going to be on next here. I get to go on to another show in a half hour. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Sports Junkies, check it out.
Yeah.
JustinTV.com/SD Sports. No, SD. Is it
SD Sports Junkies?
Yeah, SD Sports Junkies. And you can watch me then again. Of course, there'll be no political nothing, and there'll be no screaming and no yelling. And I hope Little Boy. Yeah, Charger Talk. I'm very excited about that, too, to be honest with you. All right, Little Boy, good show.
I had a good time.
All right. And that's it. Take care. Oh, I used your line.
And we'll see you real soon.